17 Most Accurate Signs That You Have an Old Soul 2023. In this world, certain people find themselves isolated and alone, nearly from birth. They aren't antisocial or have a preference for being alone to remain solitary. Instead, they're just old in mind, soul, and heart. They're called an old soul, and they often find that their outlook on life is more matured and different from those who are around them. As a result, they are always living life internally and walking a solitary path, even while others flock to follow everyone else. Have you experienced this yourself or witnessed it in someone else? If so, it's important to define yourself or them and understand things better. What's an old soul? Simply put, an old soul is someone who feels a lot older than their actual age. This feeling might be accompanied by high intelligence, empathy, keen psychic insight, and intuition of the human condition. Usually, old souls find themselves to be outsiders looking into life. They often feel like they just don't belong in the world or that time period. Because of that, they long for a sense of purpose, meaning, and inner fulfillment. Power, money, and success do not bring that. This longing can be seen as a thirst to go back home. You've got two main types of old souls. There are those who are born with a sensation that they're different and others who have gone through a spiritual awakening and grow to become an old soul. A psychic can tell you more about your past lives and whether you're an old soul. Are you an old soul? Signs you are. Oprah Winfrey, Robert Frost, and Jim Carrey, among others, have often been called old souls. Maybe you have too. If you haven't determined whether or not you're an old soul, these signs can reveal this information to you. You're a lone wolf. Old souls are often disinterested in the interests and pursuits of others in their age group. Therefore, they are dissatisfied with making friends because they find it difficult to relate to others. The sense of alienation here is a significant problem for old souls. Therefore, you likely spend a lot of your time alone, struggling to deeply connect with others. Most people don't share the same values and interests as them. You are spiritually inclined. Often, old souls are spiritual and sensitive. They have a spiritual awakening, which overcomes the confines of their ego. That way, they can focus on self-realization and enlightenment. Generally, old souls have a quest in life for providing peace and love and watching it grow within the world. You prefer wisdom, truth, and knowledge. An old soul often finds themselves focusing on the intellectual aspects of life. They know that wisdom is the key to happiness. Knowledge brings power, and truth has freedom. Therefore, they want to seek these things. Such pursuits are much more meaningful for them than reading gossip on Hollywood stars or focusing on sports scores. You are introspective and thoughtful. An old soul thinks a lot over everything. They must have plenty of time and space to be introspective and reflect. This allows them to develop their self-awareness. Rumination is often the result, which helps them learn more about the environment and the people around them while focusing on their actions. Most old souls use shadow work, where they're reflecting constantly on what they might do better, and how to prevent issues in their lives from growing bigger. This helps them to create inner harmony within their lives. You understand the transience of yourself and others. As an old soul, you might be plagued frequently with reminders about your mortality and that of everyone/everything around you. Most old souls have many crises throughout their lives, especially during tough situations that focus on how existence isn't permanent. Since you're highly sensitive and perceptive to death's reality, you make each decision within your life count. You're not materialistic. Status, wealth, fame, and the latest technology aren't where it's at for you, old soul. You're probably not very interested in such things. You realize that these goals are deemed essential by the media and social standards but know they can be taken away so fast. If the item isn't going to enrich your soul or last a long time, why do you need it? You have the big picture. Old souls don't like to get lost in all the minor details. This includes gaining job promotions, degrees, prestige, or new technology. Instead, they look at life and try to find the most meaningful ways of using their time and living. Life could end anytime, so you don't waste it all on the trivialities that regular people do. You've been through an existential crisis. Many old souls focus on penetratingly deep questions about life while they search for freedom, truth, and love. This quest for a meaningful existence means they are going to experience something called an existential crisis at some point. This is something that happens when you begin to see through all of the delusions and lies in society. You often wonder what life is for, what your purpose is, or if you have one, and focus on the human condition. If you find yourself asking things like, what's the point of your life? Is it just chance? Or what it's all about? Then you may be experiencing an existential crisis. You weren't social as a kid and labeled strange. Remember, not all old souls have odd maturity signs at a young age. If you did, though, you may have been called introverted, precocious, or rebellious because you didn't fit into the behaviors that most children your age convey. You may have been highly intelligent and inquisitive. Sometimes, you realize that your teachers, peers, and parents have no purpose with what they do or say. This could have turned you to resist them, either aggressively or passively. As a parent, you can check your children by seeing if they talk to you as an adult. If so, then your child is likely an old soul just like you. You overthink almost everything. Usually, old souls are contemplative people, but this can be a challenging and painful quality. For example, you may overthink everything. That means you may stand at a cafe and look at the menu and be unable to make a choice. There are so many of them, but what if you don't like it? Is it an ethical decision? What gives you the best value? Social situations can be tough, as well. You see life differently. An old soul often takes time to enjoy his or her life, and they can see what others can't. Nature is the perfect example. As an old soul, you probably appreciate how the wind moves the trees. Someone else might walk on by, not seeing this simple beauty or being disinterested with it. You take more time to contemplate life. You're going to hear the laughter of a child and see them smile and stop to savor the moment. In fact, you may meditate on the words a great writer puts on paper or ponder the beauty of some art. There's always so much life to appreciate, reflect on, and enjoy. You're often a counselor or advisor. Do people come to you regularly for advice? It might seem like you're a flame and they're moths. You've got so much wisdom and level-headedness that friends, family members, and acquaintances are attracted to you as an advice giver. You may not mind this yourself, but you could feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of problems that others have. You do like helping others, so it's often a pleasure rather than a burden. You have anxiety when in social situations. When you know you overthink things and have strong empathy while being conscientious, this usually leads to anxiety. If you're also eccentric, you don't share an interest with many others, you have a tendency toward being uncomfortable in social situations. While old souls are often calm, confident, and self-possessed, any social situation is tiring and complex. There are endless elements to think about, such as etiquette, egos, reciprocity, boundaries, and the like. Therefore, you often prefer to be alone. However, if you can find someone that you find interesting or connect with, you often form an intense and strong connection fast. It's an amazing joy when you find a kindred spirit. You want simplicity. In most life areas, old souls like and respect complexity. However, they really want simplicity. There is a Zen-like feeling, as well as beauty and purity, when living the simple life. You may prefer minimalism or take a minimalistic attitude toward pursuits and everyday responsibilities. There's a thirst for simplicity in an old soul, which is connected to their soul, heart, and essence. If it is worthy and true, it's found by doing simple things. You spend time with others who are older. As an old soul, you probably make friends easily with older people rather than young ones. You find that these people are engaging, down to earth, and have a layered past because they've been on earth longer than others. It's also comforting to you to be around those because their energy matches your own. Compatibility is here, so you don't have to run out to all the parties and clubs. You can lounge on a patio, sit around the fire, and talk about stories from the past. You feel old. Think about how you feel right now on the inside. If you didn't know your current age, how old might you feel? Many people find that they feel older, and not just because of aches and pains. You believe yourself to be more mature, wiser, and different. These feelings shouldn't be ignored. If you feel mentally tired, wariness of the world, watchful patience, inquisitiveness, and that you're an outsider, you could be an old soul. You're attracted to vintage items. All old souls aren't going to have this feeling or attraction, but many people feel that they're drawn to old furniture. Music, architecture, books, clothing, and so much more. You may also feel more comfortable with past eras, such as the 1920s jazz experience, 1950s clothing, or the 18th century buggy. Conclusion. It's often surprising to people when they realize that there is a term for what they are. As an old soul, you think more, enjoy simple things, don't focus on money, and so much more. You're deemed different than others, but that might be the best thing to be in the world. Instead of conforming, you take the road that leads to relaxation and peace. Generally, you're going to be sympathetic, seek out wisdom, and be highly spiritual. You also prefer solitude while being a rock and providing sound advice to others. Just remember that you're not alone, even if you haven't found your kindred spirit yet.